This is a little different. This is my loving tribute to Charlie Kirk. But it also is more than that. It's a moment of reflection for me, and I hope for all of us. The truth is, I've been moved more deeply than I expected. Over the past few days and 2 weeks, I've found myself crying, sometimes without even knowing exactly why. And I've realized it's because this loss feels so personal. Charlie Kirk didn't give me my convictions about love, about dialogue, about living with intention. Those have always been mine. But through his boldness, through his willingness to speak openly, he inspired me to live those convictions more courageously. He reminded me it's possible to hold faith without apology and to believe in honest dialogue, even when it's uncomfortable. And here's why it's striking me so deeply. In many ways, he feels like he could have been me in another life. That's why this doesn't feel just like the passing of a public figure. It feels personal. It feels close. I've always been deeply aware of my feelings. I've noticed them. I sit with them. I ask why they're there. But I don't let them run my life. I balance them with logic, with reflection, with faith. And that's why this moment has been so striking for me. It's not only that Charlie Kirk believed many of the same things that I do, it's that he had the courage to live them openly. That courage mirrored something inside of me, and it gave me encouragement to step forward more boldly in my own life. So this is my tribute to Charlie Kirk, but it's also an invitation for all of us to pause and reflect, because what's happening here is a reminder that our thoughts and actions always carry consequences. The man who pulled the trigger made choices, first in his thinking, then in his actions, and those choices had consequences that ripple out into all of us. And that's the truth for every one of us. In our lives, in our own lives, our choices matter. The things we believe, the things we do, the way we treat one another, they shape not only our lives, but the lives of everyone around us. Too often I see a culture that tries to sidestep consequences, that wants to live as if actions don't carry weight. But whether we like it or not, they do. That's why open dialogue is so important. If we can't speak openly, if we can't sit across from someone who disagrees with us and have a conversation, then what's left? Anger? Violence? Shouting instead of reasoning? But if your argument can't be defended with logic and truth, then it doesn't hold much water. Dialogue is what keeps us human. It's what keeps us from losing ourselves. And here's what I believe about conflict resolution. It isn't about one side winning everything and the other losing everything. Real peace comes when both sides give up something, when both sides choose to meet in the middle. That's what common ground looks like. And even if we can't agree in the end, we can still walk away with a better understanding, with a little more empathy for one another. That's what Charlie Kirk believed in too, I believe. He said it time and time again. Once communication stops, violence becomes easier. History has shown us the same thing in World War II. The Nazis dehumanized Jewish people, calling them rats, stripping away their humanity. And once people aren't seen as human, the unthinkable becomes possible. That same spirit shows up anytime dialogue breaks down. It shows up in name calling. And I'll be honest, the moment someone turns to name calling, I lose interest. Not because my feelings are fragile, but because it tells me something, that they don't have a real argument. They're not interested in dialogue. They just want to tear down. And if that's all you can do, then your position doesn't carry much weight. But when we keep the dialogue going, even in disagreement, We remind ourselves that and each other, you are still human. You are still worthy of respect. You are still worth loving. That's why dialogue matters. It keeps us human. And that brings me to love, because love is the foundation of all of this. Love is what makes dialogue possible. Love is what gives us the courage to face consequences honestly. Love is what steadies us when life feels fragile. Love doesn't mean agreeing on everything. It doesn't mean avoiding truth to keep peace. Real love speaks truth. Real love sees people as human, even when we're on opposite sides of the table. Real love doesn't dehumanize. It dignifies. Charlie Kirk inspired me because he lived boldly, and he lived with love for truth, for dialogue, for his country, and for his faith. His example encouraged me to bring my own convictions into the light more openly, more faithfully, and without apology. So this tribute isn't just about him. It's about what his life stirs in all of us. To live with courage, to speak with honesty, to love deeply, even when it's costly. And at the end of it all, I want to say this from my heart. I love you, Charlie Kirk. Thank you for your honesty. Thank you for your boldness. Thank you for your faith. Thank you for being the man you were. Thank you for your inspiration. And thank you for being Charlie Kirk.